Hello, everyone. Welcome to Orange and Brew, the podcast where we married our two favorite pastimes, the Denver Broncos and beer. I am JT Matthews, your host, and you can find me at JTMatthews01 on X, and I'm here with the doctor, Nicholas Manning, at DR_Manning, also on X, and super producer and editor John Cronenberg, and co-host, of course, at John K NFL on X as well. How are we doing today, boys? I know I've made the jump to actually calling it X.
I noticed that, and I felt a little uncomfortable, honestly.
Yeah,
it just didn't feel right. But I now call it when I do it, I say Twitter/X, and then I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just making it longer. So maybe it's time to make the jump.
Yeah, it feels like, I've been saying Twitter, and I want to keep saying Twitter, but it's not Twitter anymore. It just isn't.
No,
and so
it's a new beast.
And so I've got to fall into line a little bit, though I don't like saying that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I'll never. Nope.
That's why I do the intros.
Yep. Yeah, it's exactly. Yeah. He who does the intro controls the whatever. I'm doing good. Outside of the Bronco game, it was a fantastic sports weekend in the Manning/Tremblay home. So my daughter and nephew won their first soccer game, dominated. They both played really well, good attitudes. It was great. Zanny not only won his baseball game, his first coach pitch game, but also he won his soccer game. Fantastic effort. Eva, my 3-year-old, scored a goal. We won. Tremendous effort. A little upset she didn't get a medal. But we worked through it. So all in all, Florida State dominated. Another fantastic win. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Alabama lost. Sweet.
Love that.
CU bashed the brains in of our neighbors to the east, the Nebraska Cornhuskers. So overall, sports.
Yeah, and
my ribs.
Just saying this real quick. I mean,
I'm all there.
Cam being, part of MHRT, mainly Broncos, 5280 pod, I hope you're watching this and, you're feeling okay with Nebraska. I know it's been rough, and it's only going to get rougher.
It's only going to get rough. That is. Yeah, help's not coming soon.
No, I mean, even if they're doing a good job with getting some players in recruiting, but guess what? We saw yesterday with Penn State, they had the number 2 offensive tackle. He decommitted and is already, gotten off from CU. Maybe he, was taking a visit, I believe now. So we all know that these guys can leave very quickly also with this time. So you never know.
No.
But talking about the Rocky Mountain Showdown a little bit, just because I want to, and we'll do more on the podcast CCF, Colorado Collegiate Focus. We'll do that on Thursday, but I'm really interested to see what the Rams can do to the Buffs. Honestly, here they're changing quarterbacks from Clay Millen to Brandon Nicolosi, Flower Nicolosi. Excuse me, he has one of those hyphen names. And I'm very worried about CSU. Honestly, their offensive line just did not get any push. There was nothing going on there for their first game. I know they had a bye week this week, so they had a little bit more time to prepare for CSU. At the same time, they're having trouble just getting the offense going. So I really do think that this is a time for the Buffs defense to kind of shine and start to progress a little bit, because they can take advantage of this lower kind of level team, and then this will make them click more. So I'm very excited about the opportunity for CU. Worried about CSU and Air Force. I think that they're in a good situation as well, going against Utah State. And Utah State, though, did really well last week.
Utah State's a good program.
Yeah, they are underrated. I think they won they scored 77 points, total. The last couple games. It's been pretty dominant for their opponent, but again, they're playing at a lower level school as well.
Right.
So, excited for what Air Force has to do this week. I think they have some players that are a little bit dinged up, but they're going to be able to prevail at least this week. And then from there, we'll kind of see how they handle the Mountain West from there. But how's your team doing, JT? How about those Buckeyes? Oh.
Yeah, they're undefeated, so that's a good start. They should be because they haven't played anyone real tough yet. That's coming. But they settled on a quarterback, so Kyle McCord.
Yeah, it's a huge
job to lose.
Yeah, it's his job to lose.
The man throws like Brett Rippon.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not great. I do worry a little bit about the quarterback play. I do think he's got a better arm than the other guy. So I'm good with the choice. They just gotta figure out how to get it to Marvin Harrison more often, and then we'll be fine. But our defense has only allowed 10 points in 2 weeks, so I feel good about the defense. If you're gonna have a struggling quarterback, at least you got a defense that can keep him in games if he needs to. So I'm optimistic. I'm not like over the top optimistic, but I feel okay about how things have been going. I want to see them put a little bit more cohesive offense together, but Buckeyes are doing okay. They're doing okay.
Yeah.
And they always start slow. I always feel like I watch the first game and I'm like, man, I expected this to be better. And it never is.
Yeah.
I see that a lot with the Big Ten teams, but I like the way they do their scheduling so that they kind of have time to ramp up. A lot of the teams do that there in the Big Ten. So I like what they do. And again, Colorado, it's just been a whirlwind. I mean, everybody from everywhere is talking about CU, Coach Prime. It's quite amazing what they've been able to do. Everything from on the field. They had probably a huge recruiting week last week because a lot of invites were sent. So we're going to see probably in a couple weeks some people committing and getting very excited about that, seeing people leaving where they were going to school to come to Colorado. So I'm very excited what they've been able to do. Again, it's been a effort from everyone though, which has been the best part. From everyone. You don't think it's an effort from everyone? I'm saying the whole entire coaching staff from Tim Brewster, all the entire Kelly. They're doing a great job. They're making great schemes. They're doing everything kind of the way they want. Sean Lewis is running this team so fast. I can't believe these other teams are able to keep up. And I think that's one reason why teams in the second half come out so just a little bit more exhausted than CU. And CU has that time where they've been in Colorado. They have the oxygen-able ability. So I really love what CU has been able to do.
Me too. Number 18 in the rankings. I feel like it's deserved. Shedeur Sanders has been revelation to a lot of America. I believe he was a 4-star recruit. I think a top 100 recruit in his class. So him and Travis Hunter, they chose to go to Jackson State to play for Coach Prime, right? This not like diamonds in the rough that no one saw. These were good, talented players that went there. I really was impressed with the defense and the bounce back. But again, I'm Shedeur Sanders, like his leadership qualities, his ability to maneuver the pocket, his game accuracy, I think, is even better now than it was at Jackson State. I think when you have more talent around you. And the thing that I appreciate the most is his representation of the Buffalo, right? To go out to the Nebraska players and coaches because they're standing on your logo and then go show them that watch, right? And like wanting to run up the score on that roll, going for a 2-point conversion because he's talking crap about your dad. I like it. It has been a while since that team had an identity, probably back to Gary Barnett. And so now with Prime there, it's must-watch TV. So really excited about that. I'm going to go to Florida State before we talk about the Rocky Mountain Showdown.
Okay.
Wow.
Surprised me.
Wow. They scored almost 100 points in 2 games, which is, I don't know if you've heard this, but it's pretty good. While sitting, a bunch of starters, especially kind of at the back end of that second half. Jordan Travis has been, outside of a slow start on like the first series of the first game. Duke can do everything. Super excited. Keon Coleman coming from Michigan State. You have him on one side at 6'4", 210. You have good old Johnny Too Tall over there at 6'7". Your receiving threats are pretty nice. And then they have a stable of backs, some really talented defense. So I'm excited. The guys are at number 3. Can't wait for that Clemson matchup. That's going to be
that'll be fun.
I know where I'm going to be. Not moving. I'm just going to smoke a cigar. Don't even care why, it's just, it's really good, and we talked about it before. It's really nice when our teams are good at the same time. It's college football. It's a roulette. But kind of going back to Colorado, I told you both before we started recording, it was nice to like turn on sports radio and after a Broncos loss and hear about another sports team. Like the shockwaves through, this region have been palatable. And it's really good to see, as for Saturday, the Rocky Mountain Showdown, question is, will they cover? And I think it's at like 24.5 or something, which is just nuts for a team that opened the season like a 2-score underdog in their first game. So now they're that team now that expected to roll you if you are a Mountain West opponent. So we're really excited about it, and I think that they'll continue to get more cohesive on defense, which will mean a ton. And, if they can get both of those aspects working as the season goes on at the same time, maybe we definitely undersold them. Maybe it's a 9-10 win season. Yeah. That's a possibility. So, good stuff.
Yeah, it really is.
And if you want to hear people talk college football, where should they listen, John?
Listen to CCF. That's the pod that we have for college football here on MHRT. That's myself. That's Rick Baum. And we also have Tony Casolo. So we have someone from Buffs Wire, someone who's pretty much an insider for Air Force. He goes to the practices, goes to the games. He knows the players. And then you kind of have me covering CSU as the last guy, and someone needed to take care of CSU. So it's a good time. Yeah, someone had to take CSU. And when I was trying to find people that were interested in taking the role for CSU, they were like, no, I feel like I'm going to be the little brother kind of on the show, and I just don't want that. So I was a little bit surprised that no CSU guys wanted to step up, but I understand if they felt like they'd be kind of lower on the tier, but we don't do that. You can see Air Force, we do them all the same.
Yeah, the good thing is like you all know about all of them, so that's kind of the point, right?
Exactly.
Well, let's transition to some professional football. We'll go with that.
You will read anything on the teleprompter.
Let's talk about the Broncos. Broncos showed off against the Las Vegas Raiders on Sunday and lost. They lost by a point.
Should they have lost? Let me just ask this real quick. Should they have lost?
No, I don't.
Should they have lost?
I mean, they did. Yes and no, but I would say overall, I'd say no. I'd say the Raiders tried to hand them the game and they couldn't take it.
Yeah, that was. There's not too many times where where you only have the ball 6 times.
I think the average is 12.
Yeah, like it's half of. So if you think about it that way,
the average.
Yeah, the offense had a pretty good day. So you have 6 drives. You were in scoring position or chance to score points on 4 of them. Right, so 2 touchdowns, 1 field goal made, 1 field goal missed. That's a pretty dang good day at the office. Defensively, to me, there just weren't enough splash plays. Pressure on Garoppolo was non-existent at most times, which was really disheartening. Their offensive line, in my opinion, is not that good. But
they look good.
G is a good fit, gets the ball out quickly, and so that game plan, what they were running, the run defense was phenomenal, but definitely you needed to get to the quarterback a little bit sooner. So putting guys on the island sounds great, but the guy can't have forever to throw. Just can't.
Yeah, and I was reading from Eric Dalala, excuse me. The Broncos had the 17.1 pressure rate allowed. That was technically first in the NFL in week 1, according to NFL Next Gen Stats. It didn't feel that way though. Did it to you? It didn't feel that way. I felt like the offensive line wasn't getting a lot of push. I felt like, again, Ben Powers, we kind of saw. Yes. And they just, to me, they felt flat, just on their feet. They just did not feel like the feet were moving quite right. That maybe I'm being a little hard on Ben Powers on that. But I felt like he still hasn't gotten his feet underneath him since this season, including preseason and in camp.
Yeah, I think it's fair to have that criticism. I don't think that they were blowing guys off the ball, but there were, I think the run game was effective. It got better as the game wore on. Pass protection wise, I think what they did and what Russ now is able to do meshed really well. Like they were able to stay.
So there was still that pressure. You feel
there was pressure.
He was able to maneuver in the pocket a lot of the time, and it wasn't so much, feeling kind of antsy. It felt. Would you agree?
Okay. Yeah, I think there was probably 2 plays where it was just like, who are you guys blocking? Like, dear goodness.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I thought they played okay. They played okay. It's not good enough. They're going to really have to improve this coming up week, which we'll talk about. It's a really good defensive front. Chase Young's coming back, so I think they'll be primed to do that. I do think I am encouraged. So the difference between, the first, last season and this season, one, like clock management, situational awareness. I don't even mind the onside kick, right? Like, did
it go 10 yards?
No, it was about a foot short.
Yeah, it was close.
It was
close. It was close, but it is. I don't mind it. I probably wouldn't have done it. Go in, let the crowd noise be loud. Maybe I would have done it after your first score, really kind of pile it on, get the momentum first. Outside of that, really, your kicker hasn't acclimated to being a mile high above sea level, and missed an extra point, which in the end was the difference in the game. And so that, to me, I feel more optimistic. Russ looked great, in my opinion. Okay. Like he looked really, really good with a skeleton crew of receivers, right? If Philip Dorsett knows where he's at, maybe that's a touchdown.
Yeah.
His play, to me, in my opinion, his play was it. I would here. This is going to be hard. I would have rather seen him be back and feel like you can win and go to the playoffs with that guy than beat the Raiders. Obviously,
that I understand.
Obviously, I like both, but Russ's play, it was really good. It looked Seattle Russ. He was in control. He looked calm. His feet looked quick. His arm looked live. It looked like he knew what he was doing. Control the offense, which I think matters a ton. So that to me is going to be the biggest takeaway out of all of it. We'll see when it's all said and done. Can they build on it? Consistency is key. We really need that here in Broncos country. But if there were one thing that I would have said, hey, if I just get this one thing, I'll let the rest of the chips fall where they may, is Russ looking like the guy that he's getting paid to be.
Yeah. You ready for doom and gloom here?
Yes, Let's go some doom and gloom.
Well, do you want to do one more positive before? I mean, Pat Surtain on Devontae Adams.
Intertwine them.
Give me them cookies, bro.
Aside from
for me with Surtain, it's one of those things where I think everyone, in the NFL has him as the number one corner right now in terms of players within the league, I think. So that's a big kind of jump I think people are going to take, and hopefully fans can as well outside of Denver.
Yeah.
Here I'm going to give you a few things here.
Yeah. Hit it.
The defense couldn't get key stops, and that's just what it came down to. And I think a big part of that was.
Tell me if you've heard that story before.
Yeah. And it felt familiar in a bad way. And so, there's no push. We talked about that a little bit. There's no push from in rushing the passer.
Even when there was blitzes, even when they brought pressure.
Yeah, it was. And I think they planned to get the ball out of Jimmy's hand quick, and they were able to do that. And you can't do much about that. However, I just feel like we need someone to be able to put some consistent pressure, and it's not going to come from the interior with the personnel that we have. And so we've got to have someone on the outside being able to bring some pressure, or they've just got to scheme some pressure. So there's that. I think a lot of the struggle on defense was in not getting stops was on Damari Mathis. I thought he had a very bad game. He made Jacoby Myers look fit like a fantastic wide receiver.
Yeah, dear goodness gracious.
The dude had 2 touchdowns, almost 100 yards. And that wasn't Patrick Surtain's assignment. And it wasn't always Mathis's assignment, but he looked, from all of the positives we saw in preseason, I was missing that this game.
Yep.
So I don't know what to attribute that to. I don't know if he's in over his head or if he just had a bad game. I'll give him benefit of the doubt. Let's see how he bounces back. There's some good, interesting receivers in with the Commanders that will test him. So let's see how he plays. But I just feel at the end of the day that there is an appreciable lack of talent on our roster. I just do. I just feel like there's no one right now, and I don't know that anyone will develop this season into someone on either side of the ball that you can either count on for a turnover, a timely stop, or, a key play on offense. And that worries me, man. That worries me. I want Cortland to be able to rise back up. I don't know if he's going to be able to rise back up to his Pro Bowl level ever. Mm-hmm. I have hope that if anyone can do it, it's going to be Jerry Jeudy, but the dude's got to be healthy. He's got to play. And we have seen no consistency from him on a health level. And it makes me worry. I do think our offense looked better. Russ looked better. I think the offensive line looked fine. I think they could probably the right tackle, McGlinchey, looked like he was getting beat up a little bit. But he's coming off of injury. So I'll give him benefit of the doubt. I'm giving this team benefit of the doubt. I'm not trying to overreact after one game. But it felt really familiar, and that was troubling to me.
Yep. Yeah. Just to say, I think maybe a couple of the things that were the thing that frustrates me the most that's from yesteryear is the penalties. It was a sloppy game. The ability to stop people on third down, just critical stuff that they were practicing and that kind of stuff. So they got to clean up the penalties. They're beating themselves a ton. The Raiders did gift them some, but Kareem's hit late. It kind of makes sense. He's got to try and keep him from going, but
I understood
that cost the game. I mean, there's just some of those that really, any one of those plays they're able to fix or change, they win. Like, it really was that simple. If they played cleaner ball, I think that they had a really good chance to not only win, but to win by, a strong dub.
I do want to say, though, I think some of this needs to go on Sean Payton. And part of it, A is that initial onside kick. I get it. I understand wanting to be aggressive. If it had gone well, it would have paid off.
Yes.
And so I understand the thinking behind it, but also, like, you're putting your defense on a short field at the very beginning of the game. This is a team that the last few years we know does not play well from a deficit. So that bothered me. And then I think he made the wrong choice going for the 55-yard field goal. I just do. Even when it was happening, I said, this kicker just missed an extra point. It's 4th and 3. You've got on the 38 or something. So you miss it. You miss the field goal. You're in the same spot. If you go for it and you turn it over, you're in the same spot. I don't have confidence in the kicking game. I think we've talked about that a little bit, but I don't know if what Lutz is gonna do. We'll see. But I think some of that has to go on Coach Payton too. I don't know that he put them in the best positions at all time, and so I want to be fair with how bad our coaching was with Nathaniel Hackett and how much we've crapped on him, and at times deservedly so.
Yep.
We got to be realistic about what we're seeing on the field too. And so I'm not going to say Sean Payton's a failure. Obviously, it's been one game, but there's some responsibility there, and I think we got to acknowledge that.
I agree more. It felt like I matter, right? Like, I'm Sean Payton, I'm back, kind of thing. Versus, if you really believe that you're going to smash this team in the face and you can win, you save that. You save that one, right? So I agree. I think that felt like they were playing catch up after that a little bit.
Yeah.
Right? Even just mentally, like, oh, all right, we gotta kind of fix the wrong to right the wrong that we committed. So, what about you, Johnny?
So, first of all, I was talking to Dave, a friend of the show, and he was telling me his kind of opinion. The Broncos, first of all, with those 6 possessions only, that was the fewest since 2000. So, I mean, that really is a long time since they haven't been able to have more possessions. The big thing for him, which he told me, which actually makes a lot of sense when looking at the Broncos offense and trying to find, some good light there, is that on their possessions, basically, they had an opportunity to score on most of them, which is really key. I understand they didn't come to fruition, all of them, but hey, at least you're getting into the opposing, territory most of the time. Yeah. And again, some things that I have some issues with this team is I think they need to, honestly, I think it's more of the fans need to get rid of these notions of, hey, we're going to win coach of the year. We're going to get comeback player of the year for Russell Wilson. We're going to they're talking about defensive player of the year for Patrick Surtain. So worried about awards. No, let's focus on actually what's going to happen in the games. The big thing for me is there's always a huge jump from week 1 to week 2 for a team. So if the Broncos can make that jump and all of a sudden they start to connect, because again, if any of us played sports, always the first game, you take some time to start to gel and get going. And that first week, you need it to essentially become a team. It is right, that week where you become that team. So if we see a lot of growth here in week 1 to week 2, I'd be very happy. If we don't see that growth, that's where I get very concerned with this team. And then I feel like we're going through the same situation that we did in the past. So I really have a high I need this team to see a lot of growth from week 1 to week 2. When it comes to, again, some of the things for the Raiders game, the defense allowing these long, sustainable drives was just killing this team. You can't have it be where you get a team into third and fairly long, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 7, and then all of a sudden Garoppolo is still able to make his passes and complete them on 3rd down. It felt like Derek Carr again, where he's getting way too many. His completion percentage was way too high, especially during those times where it mattered to create a punt or something along those lines. It was not happening for the defense. Again, that comes with 3rd down. You need to have pressure, like JT, you were saying. This team does not have the guys to have interior pass rush at this time, at least from what I see. It just isn't there. So you need your guys on the edge to get home, at least make some pressure, make things come out faster. You don't have to get sacks every single game, but at least make the quarterback feel uncomfortable in a rush and not able to, has to throw the ball away, something along those lines. It was too comfortable for Jimmy G again, and it felt like Derek Carr, like I'm saying, high completion percentage. Again, picking on Jamari Mathis because you were able to. It just felt wrong in that sense for the defense for me.
Yeah. Can we do one thing? Can we just go? I want to hear what your biggest positive takeaway and your biggest negative takeaway is. Just going around.
Yeah, I have to go for the positives, and that again, what Dave was telling me, those 6 possessions, 4 of 6 of them, hey, you had a scoring potential on those. Yes, you need to finish those, but I'm very happy that the Broncos were able to at least get into those positions to be there. Not as much 3 and outs. It seemed more sustained drive. So that's the positive for me. I mean, of course, the negative has to be kicking, just because it could have meant so much if those went our way. But again, I feel somewhat disappointed that, again, because the Raiders played a kind of a soft coverage, giving the Broncos kind of opportunity to complete a lot of passes. I felt like that's why Russell Wilson was able to have a high completion percentage. So I'm a little interested to see when he gets a different defense that's not playing as soft. But that's something I'm just interested in. But again, the defense for the Raiders was able to do some nice things. And I feel like at the end of the day for the offensive line, they were fine. It's just one of those things where I really hope they can turn into that 5-1 kind of mentality that I've talked about. And I didn't see it quite yet. But again, it takes time. I'm really excited to see week 1 to week 2. and I have to just get this out of the way. I did like what some of the play calls when Quinn Bailey came in as kind of a tight end, kind of snuck in, kind of did his rub and showed that he was coming in, and I like that. But there's a lot going on. Plus, you have injuries that came in with Dulcich, so there's a lot that went wrong. I felt with this game.
Yeah. Doc, you want to go? You want me to go? You want to finish on a strong note?
Yeah. I'll let you. Yeah.
I think my biggest negative, I'm probably going to do two because this is what I do because I'm way better at the negative than the positive. I'll say like getting any pressure on Garoppolo, that was the biggest thing. I think in Damari Mathis's defense, he's not a corner that you can have in coverage for 5-6 seconds. That's just not where his strength is.
No one can.
Surtain can. But I mean, outside
of that's like next level. We're talking
right, exactly.
Again, that is not your even typical above average cornerback able to do.
Right.
And that's why I'm sorry to interrupt you. Are you guys excited to get Riley Moss back for the potential of having another guy on the outside if something again, of course, if something goes wrong with injury, but if someone's having a bad game like Mathis, maybe you put him outside on that player, and we'll see what happens. Is that something you'd be interested in?
I think so. I mean, we got to see what we got with everyone, but and I'll let Nick answer that on his turn. But I think that like Mathis isn't that the guy. Mathis is a good corner. He's physical. He's long, but he's not like a match guy route running on speed. Like that's not his game. So I think there's got to be pressure for him to be successful. And I think if there is pressure, then he could be successful. And I will say. The offense looked better, but I think Russ was checking down too much. I think that the check down works if you're not predictably using it, right? And I think that every time that Russ didn't have a read right away and he checked down, those were negative or non-plus plays. And so I think he's got to get away from always going to the check down, even if it means throwing the ball away at times, because it's becoming predictable and they're losing yardage on that. Jaleel McLaughlin got hung out to dry more than once with some late throws, and it just wasn't productive. And so I'll say that as an additional part of my negative. But I will say I do think the defensive game plan was really good. What we know about playing the Las Vegas Raiders is that Josh Jacobs kills us. He always kills us. He kills us every time we play him, and he did not kill us this game. And I think that was obviously going to be a key coming into the game. I think they were successful. They plugged up the running lanes. That we didn't lose the game because of Josh Jacobs, who is arguably their most talented player or one of. And same, I think the game plan in general, obviously Max Crosby didn't have 3 sacks, so that's all positive. I think the game plan was good. I think it was more about execution.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, my biggest thing, and I think probably even just for that, there was no yak.
Yeah,
didn't have anyone that was able to really kind of make a special play. Really, the running game, there wasn't a lot of explosion. And, when guys got the ball, they were not able to make someone miss. So I'm less worried about the checkdowns and more worried about the ability of people to win in space. So that to me is a concern for sure. And to be as good as they want to be, they have to be able to dictate the pace by running the ball and really wear on people. I thought that they did okay.
Yeah.
I'm less worried about the offense as I am about Lots has to be nails for the next week. Can't lose the game. Shouldn't
Can
be
I ask
losing.
a real quick question from you? Yeah. Since we're on the topic of special teams, what are your thoughts on Marvin Mims and his return ability? For you, since you were talking.
Yeah, I like him. I thought he did well as a receiver too. I thought he made some really tough catches for a guy that's pretty small. Moment didn't seem too big. Seemed like a natural catcher of the ball on punt returns. There was one that he fair caught that just puts his hands out the last second. Like Cherry, just like I got it. Not showing off, but you can tell he doesn't have to try for that.
Yeah.
I think some guys who have to really concentrate on the ball.
I was very worried about the punt return from just what I saw in practice. But again, when it comes the right way as a actual punt, I think that's where he has that difference. Yeah. And so that worry went away from me from Marvin Mims. Back to you, Doc.
Yeah. So mine is third down defense. So it's Yak. Guys have to make some plays now, especially I thought Adam Troutman played well. It'll be interesting now that Dulcich should be out. You hope Jerry can go, so at least it's a
Does it sound like this week is a possibility? I mean, from what I'm hearing, yeah.
Jerry, yeah.
Would you push it though this early? Yes. You would. Okay. I think he has to also for his own sake. He wants to be out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, he his health isn't guaranteed anyways, and so I think if he can play, then he's got to play.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was trending in a really good direction last week. I think, if he's 80% and he feels like he can do it, I think you do it. I wouldn't be shocked today if they go, maybe have some workouts with some vets or making some phone calls. I thought Jonathan Harris didn't look.
They called some guys yesterday and had workouts. So saw wide receivers and tight ends. So I mean, they're still looking for those two positions, especially after, like you said, the Dulcich injury.
Yep. Yeah. So I'm encouraged. I'm more encouraged than I thought. Pat Surtain looked phenomenal. I thought Alex Singleton was great. I thought Zach Allen had a good game.
I'd agree.
So I thought that there were some good contributors. They just, in the end, left too many plays on the field.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Well, let's move away from this game. We got plenty of football to still talk about, but it's beer time, so let's jump into it.
Let's go. I hear a lot of people when they talk to me, they like that break. So I'm glad that we got that done and it rocks.
Yeah,
it's beer time, guys.
Yeah, I mean, Frank the Tank might be the best person on this entire podcast for being real. Yeah. What are we drinking today? Want to take it, John, or you want me to take it?
Why don't you take it? You know your stuff a little bit better.
We've got Fireman's 4. I don't know if it's 4 Fireman's or Fireman's 4. I'm guessing
that's a good point.
4, but it's a blonde ale. It is 5.1 ABV. This should be smooth. This should be easy. This should be a little more like your light beers, like your Bud Light or your Coors Light, but with a little more craft beer flavor and flair. And this is out of, where's it out of? This is Real.
I mean, we know these are all Texas.
I just don't know.
Even says Go Texas. It's from Blanco.
Blanco or Blanco? I'm not sure. Blanco, I think. RealAleBrewing.com if you want to check out their stuff. Never had it. None of us have ever had it. We don't drink many Texas beers around here until
we've had a good bunch. Yeah.
Until recently. But and they've been good. I've liked them pretty much all of them so far,
except for the one that I got. The one that was only given to me, the Tarnation one. That was again
too much.
Why did you do that to me?
Yeah, that was a high ABV one too. But this one's 5.1. Should be light and breezy. You guys ready to open these bad boys?
Pop this one.
Yeah.
There's no real pop this time. They're all.
We're gonna. Pops. Yeah.
But there might be some sort of noise that we can be excited about. I guess we'll find out.
Ready?
Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. I can't get it. My thing's not working.
I got it.
Oh my god!
Again, I had to use the can opener. Sorry, I couldn't find I always get free.
I'll use the lighter. I'll use the edge of a table or a counter. If it's
you guys know that you guys probably know the tricks.
I can do the arm twist off. Yeah.
I feel like this is like mine was like put on extra tight because I can't even get it open.
Yeah,
I thought these were on.
I think your wife tightened it.
Oh yeah, she did.
She was the one that put the cap on.
Great grip.
Actually, I do think this has a very light kind of smell as well.
Okay.
Yeah. It is kind of. It's got an interesting aroma. It's almost like a little, maybe slightly malty, which I wasn't expecting.
Yeah,
let's see, you guys ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yep.
Cheers.
Cheers, boys. Okay.
That's
all
smooth.
right.
That's smooth.
Okay. Initial thoughts, John?
For me, again, it's like you said, it is smooth, but I do kind of have kind of a good aftertaste, kind of again, I'm trying to figure out what this aftertaste I'm feeling. For me, this is one of my more enjoyable beers. I think, again, these lighter ones tend to work better for me. It's just maybe my style of how I do beer in general. Maybe lighter is the way to go, and I have to do more volume. But what about you guys?
I think it's good. It's good. It was a little more malty than I was expecting, but I kind of smelled it and I was like, this might be a little malty.
So is the malted what I'm tasting kind of at the back end? Is that what I'm getting? Okay.
100%. 100%. So it's a little malty. I don't know what kind of malt they use or anything. It doesn't say.
When it first hits you, I think it's really, really refreshing. The malt, again, that's something that I need to acquire the taste still, but I'm getting there.
I find that like most people don't like real malty and real hoppy. Like you probably fall on one side of the spectrum or the other, or maybe in the middle, but not like on both sides of the spectrum.
Yeah.
I used to, and sometimes it changes because I used to like malty beers. There was a barley wine that they had. They probably still have at Great Divide that I liked there for a while, but now I've kind of moved away from that. But yeah, there's a little bit of malt, but it's good. It's still a refreshing beer. It doesn't taste exactly. It tastes more like an amber or like a lager or something, but more than a blonde to me. But it's still good.
Yeah, I liked it, and again,
you agree? Oh, sorry, John.
I liked it. It definitely is. The malt is there. It's not too much though, so it's not.
No, it's not too bad. I'm drinking mine at room temp, so that probably.
Mine was going to be good for you.
Yeah, but I liked it. I thought it was overall a solid dub.
Solid. I agree. I'm trying to go back to that player concept. Which player does this remind me of?
Yeah.
And I can't come up with one right now. I just can't figure it out. Do you guys have one by chance?
A player comp. I'm trying to think of this team specifically.
Josie, that's going to make it even harder when we're.
I know.
Nothing, Josie Jewell. Nothing
flashy.
There you go. I like that.
Just it delivers.
Yeah,
it does what he needs to do, and
then it gets the job done again the next time.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like that. I was thinking like maybe, I don't know, maybe a little bit of like Garrett Bowles, maybe just like there's a look like it there's a smoothness, but there's also a little bit of a roughness. Like Garrett can look really good at times, but also a little bit inconsistent, and so that's kind of where my brain went with, is like smooth initially, a little rough on the back end. We've got that with a few players on this team, unfortunately.
Yeah, that is a really good one as well. I think those fit, and kind of took them from me.
Boom.
Yeah, we'll take a moderate win on a Thursday. Like I'm more than happy with that.
Yeah, exactly.
So on that note, let's get into the matchup.
Let's go.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
Okay, sorry. Computer freaked out for a second.
Computers love to freak out, especially when you do pods. I mean, it's
especially
one of those things where I think it's natural. I think it wants to.
Yeah, when I'm in the middle of a transition, that's like the perfect time for it to freak out. So no worries. Broncos got a game coming up on Sunday against the Washington Commanders. I guess, just kind of, I want initial thoughts from each of you. Maybe some areas of concern or some areas that you would highlight. as like what is your game plan? So let's start with Doc on this one.
Yeah, my game plan would be I think they have a susceptible secondary, and so really taking an opportunity to push the ball downfield. Running the ball is probably going to be pretty difficult with their front four. So offensively, I do think Russ. It'll probably be a little bit heavier of a Russ game. What I would like to see is some improved screen action. I thought that it just wasn't quite there yet for Sean Payton's offense. So that would be something I really like. Anything that you can do to slow down that rush, screens, a couple draws, quarterback, designed runs.
Question though,
loosen them up. I think that they got to do something like that.
About that, do you feel like I feel like there's some explosiveness missing from this team. And so with Dulcich out, I'll say, who is the personnel that you would want in that position? I mean, I think McLaughlin makes sense and maybe Jerry, but I don't know that I want to be throwing tight end screens to Troutman or wide receiver screens. Well, maybe Mims. So I don't know. Tell me your thoughts on that. Yeah,
I think the guys that you listed, I wouldn't even mind seeing, if you could get something for Cortland Sutton, kind of moving forward. I think he's a guy that can break some arm tackles if you got a few guys out there that are willing to put their nose in the dirt. So Samaje Perine is a good receiver. I don't necessarily need it to go 30 yards. I need it to go 8, right? Just something to make them think, a good chunk. Things like that, I think have to be implemented. Again, though, I thought that their play designs, I thought that the groove of the offense was pretty good. So I'm not even worried about that. I do hope that they sustain the run just a little bit more. And then on defense, Sam Howell, #QB1, had a good game, 19 of 31 for 202 yards, a touchdown and a pick. Also had 2 runs for 11 yards. He's semi-athletic.
But again, this was against Arizona, a team that feels like they're trying to tank,
that is the
essentially.
The caveat.
Again, you're going against Joshua Dobbs. The competition wasn't the greatest.
Arizona's defense looked okay though, which I don't know if that's more of an indictment of the Commanders' offense or more of a praise.
That's a good point. I think that's more of an indictment on the Commanders.
I mean, and remember they were down. They were down 16-10 going into the fourth quarter,
right?
And took the lead, with about 12 minutes to play. So it wasn't, they didn't dominate a lesser opponent either, just like the Broncos didn't. So I think that this will be a good matchup. Arizona had some pretty good plays with their receiving group, even though Josh Dobbs is the quarterback there. He's pretty new, honestly. He was traded from the Browns, so he's very new. Yeah, had success throwing outside much more than anywhere else. But I think the important part to look at running the ball, I thought they looked like they were pretty effective. James Conner had 4.4 yards a carry, so 14 carries, 62 yards, and then Marquise Brown and Rondale Moore both had touches, averaging 6 yards a carry for Moore and a 29-yard carry for Marquise Brown. So something like that, I think, getting some side-to-side action, jet sweeps, that kind of stuff. It can be done, it looks like. So it's not necessarily the most stout against the run D, but a really good D. So I think the Broncos have to, come start out fast, make them play catch up.
I agree, and I think they have to take advantage. Yeah, I'm just saying. I agree with a lot of that. I think you have to take advantage of what Washington, has. They have their weaknesses. On top of that, the Broncos didn't have many penalties last week, and I think for the Commanders, they're not as tightly knit when it comes to penalties. So you got to take advantage of those penalties, be able to do that. Again, third down efficiency was not great for Washington. It says 4 for 12. Again, if you can stop that, that's going to be a huge leap for the defense in terms of getting the ball back, changing the time of possession, winning that. That's huge. That's what I really want to start to see is, like you were saying, in the run game, you can start to dominate that time of possession. And like we were saying with CU, they come out, it's a very tight game in the first half. and then you've kind of worn down your opponent. They're concerned, they're worried about certain things, and all of a sudden it just opens up your game. So I feel like the Broncos, for me, you have to win the time of possession against Washington here. Just because if so, that takes away so much from them. They're going to be tired from that defensive front. Take advantage of, Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen maybe being winded, having some substitutions. I think that's how you win this game. Yeah. It is going to be a lot of play action as well, and you have to be successful on that. Like you said, reaching out to your tight ends. Again, there's going to be a lack of yak, which is concerning, but make the catch and do what you're supposed to and have long, sustained drive. That's what I want to see from this team. I want time to be taken off the clock and these defenses to just feel winded.
Yep. And to get there, to get off the field, you got to get some sacks and some pressure. How many sacks did the Broncos have on Sunday, boys? Do you remember?
Did they get zero?
Right?
Zero?
Can't go 2 weeks without it. They really have to get pressure. Sam Howell's a young quarterback. It showed some promise for sure. However, him and Jimmy G aren't the same. Jimmy G when he is healthy, he's very capable. So I think this is hopefully the get right game. Fans can't keep sending the house because guys can't get there on their own. I think Zach Allen has to earn some of that money. Randy Gregory has to earn some of the money. Jonathan Cooper, didn't stand out very much, which isn't a good sign. And for this team to get better, that has to happen. If not, I really think that they should go look, to some, Ndamukong Suh, guys like that who might be able to play 20 snaps a game, but can get you some pressure. I think that they need it. The Demar Mathis, if they have a half second shorter each time and those drop backs, he probably makes a ton of those plays. So that to me is on defense. That is what has to happen. I thought that they tackled fine. I thought for the most part, not many missed assignments, here and there, but it didn't look inept. It just, shoot themselves in the foot or, can't get off the field on third down. So, those are things hopefully that aren't a trend, and it was the stepping stone to a more successful outcome this Sunday.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you a quick question. In terms of Washington's running backs, who would you fear kind of playing more versus the Broncos? You have Brian Robinson Jr., who they lean on, but they also have Antonio Gibson, receiving guy, got very effective, and a guy that we liked in the draft, all of us, I think, was Chris Rodriguez Jr. from Kentucky.
Yeah, he's big. Big sturdy gentleman.
Yes, they have a few options.
Yeah, I think Robinson is probably the guy I'm a little bit more worried. He's just,
he can do a little bit of
Gibson
both.
Is a guy that can do a lot. They just don't love him for some reason.
You don't get it.
Issues. He's just not getting a lot of playing time, and so I don't think that they're going to put him on the field enough for the Broncos to really be worried about him. If they did, I think he's a guy that really can create some mismatches for you, especially in the pass game.
I think so as well. But again, like you said, they just for some reason aren't using him, and it's a shame to me.
I think the biggest thing is getting pressure. I think we've talked about this, as kind of some fallout of the last game, but I think that's going to be huge. Like you've got to make a young guy like Sam Howell uncomfortable. And I think, if you can do that, he's going to make some mistakes. I'm not sold on his ability as a starter yet. I think he's done some positive things. I would put Singleton or probably Singleton as a spy on him just in case, because I think he does have the ability to run the ball, and nothing kills, your defensive momentum like a quarterback scrambling for a first down. We saw that a few times last week, even with Jimmy G. And that just hurts, man. Like you can stop the run all day, but if you can't contain that quarterback, even if they're a little bit athletic, then you're in trouble.
Yes.
This game from I'm sorry, JP. Keep going.
No, keep going.
This game for me has to be really won by the defense in many ways, because if you look at the Commanders, they punt the ball 6 times against the Cardinals. Let's have the Broncos be able to have that success and get some third and outs, again, having some time possession go our way, and some other things. They allowed 6 sacks. We have to get home. It is imperative. That is just what we're all saying. I think every podcast is feeling that right now. Even if you feel like there's some interior pressure, like we don't really feel, it just seems like you got to get there right. This is a game, like you were saying, Doc. Get right and get to the quarterback now.
Yeah, it's just so important too with the personnel that they have. I mean, these receivers are not like top tier receivers, but they're versatile and they're fast. And so like if you can't put pressure on Howell and he can get the ball to those guys, I mean Curtis Samuel, Dotson, is it De'Ami Brown? Like those are all speedsters, man. Like these guys can create offense with just their speed and their playmaking. And so you've got to make them uncomfortable. And then the offensive line is going to have their hands full. Like this is a good test for the offensive line to see how they do in pass protection. I think Chase Young is trending towards being back. You know, that guy, if he's healthy, is tough. That defensive front is.
But isn't it weird that Chase Young is almost considered the weak link at that defensive line for the starters? I mean, that's how good they are. I
think just because of health, though. Like I think if you're talking upside and ability to make plays, I don't think he's your lowest guy. I just think, you know, you can't count on him. And so kind of the way that I feel about Jerry Jeudy is how I feel about Chase Young. Like,
that's a good.
He may have a super high ceiling, but if he's not out there to play, then it doesn't matter. But unfortunately, we are going to see him in action. Hopefully he'll be a little rusty and maybe they'll have him on a snap count. But this is a good chance for this offensive line to put a stamp on a game early on and kind of take away that pressure of, you know, is Russ going to be running for his life? Or is he going to have some clean pockets and some opportunities to make some plays? Also, on the opposite side, maybe have some plays in the pocket where Russ gets to run.
Yeah.
Like if that pressure is coming in hot and hard and you're having a hard time stemming it, you know, make a play, have some play calls in your back pocket just to slow everything down a little bit. So there's a lot to it. I'm interested at the dynamic. I don't know that, like Doc said, this front is tough. This secondary is kind of weak. And so if you can kind of get past that pass rush and that penetration on that defensive line, then you've got a good shot.
Yeah, I mean, again, I really think this team is very beatable. This should be, again, a way for the Broncos to come back and try to regroup. And I feel like, I hate to say it this early, but if the Broncos go 0-2, man, I feel like we're in a bad deficit. So this is a very, very important game to win. And again, not just put up statistics and some drives that look very good. I need the actual points. I need the actual win.
Yeah, I'm with you. Let's do some predictions. You guys want to do predict your scores, predict your outcomes. Let's start with John. We'll go Doc, and then I'll finish up.
I think the Broncos still are going to have some trouble with scoring, but I do think they can overcome this. I'll go with a 24-21 victory for the Broncos.
Nice.
It's going to be a tight one.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm somewhere close. I think the Broncos do get a win. I think it'll be a little bit more of a challenge than maybe we thought going into the season. Yeah. I also have the Broncos with 24. I have a 24-16 Broncos. So about the same.
Yeah.
Yep. And I'll finish it up. I got a 21-19 Broncos win. I think,
Will Lutz kicks it, time expires, win? Walk-off?
Yeah. No. It's he just hits all of his extra points. That's all I'm asking from him. So I'm not predicting any
bar's low, bro. Bar's low.
Yeah. Bar is so low. That's good for him though. Like you need a low bar at some point so you can exceed it, and then you got to live up to the next one. Oh. But let's hit this bar first. That's right. Just make you extra points. That's all I want this week.
Literally.
That's it.
It's so hard that, like, I remember when we had McManus kind of in his prime, it felt so nice to be the team that wasn't missing extra points. It just felt so comforting. It was comforting, and now I'm on edge.
Historically, we've had good kickers. We had Elam, we had Prater, we had McManus, all that were long-term kind of stalwart guys that maybe McManus less so than the other two.
But that was more on the kind of the end slope, and a lot of people were just frustrated in general. I think with, more of his attitude versus his some of his play.
Yeah, nothing personal against McManus. He's a fine kicker. He's got a job with the Jacksonville Jaguars, so obviously he's got some value. I just, it is weird to kind of be in a place where field goal kicking is a weakness, even though special teams has been weak. That really hasn't been a significant weakness,
right?
It's
been other things.
Yeah, and now it feels like more of a significant weakness on this unit. So we need someone to step up. And if Let's can't do it this week, I don't know how long you drag that dead weight.
Not long. Kickers, not long. We gotta. Yeah, Robbie Gould, what are you doing, bro?
Yeah, making some calls if you need to. Like, call who you got to make it a more consistent thing, because it's painful.
Real quick, I'm sorry to break off here. Who do you think made the call for the onside kick, though? Was it West offside? You think it was Sean Payne 100%?
I think so too, 100%.
Okay, I was just curious.
They knew they were gonna run it all week.
Yeah, I was just curious who kind of was like, "Hey, this is what we're gonna do, and let's do it." And
I don't think Sean would let other people make that call.
I think he'd let other people entertain the idea.
Yeah, he didn't design it, that's for sure. But
there you go.
Shades of Super Bowl, whatever, right? Doing that. That time. So I think
against the Colts and Peyton Manning. So
but I think that's something that I wouldn't be shocked if we see again soon. He's a pretty aggressive coach. So I
like my stomach upset.
Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. I think I'd rather have a guy who has the stones occasionally to make a questionable because he believes in his guys than ultra conservative 3 yards cloud of dust coach.
Yeah. I'm with you. Well, I think that's it for the show today. So thank you everyone so much. We regret not being able to be live, but we just got stuff going on this week. So thank you for showing up and watching and listening. However you guys take in our pod or our show, we appreciate you. Otherwise, I think we'll be back next week with some talk about this matchup versus Commanders and then the future matchup. But thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you. Be kind to one another. Be safe out there, and go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go. Hustle hard, hustle every single day. I'll be making moves till I'm buried in my grave. To the system, I don't wanna be a slave.